Hello everyone and welcome back to our F1 2019 Reddit League season. Now we're coming off of the finish of our mini championship last weekend where we kind of broke down some of the tracks we weren't visiting in this 12 race season out of the 21 tracks that the regular F1 visits. To have a little gander around a few of those for some fun in the kind of bye week. But we are back to the normal racing season here and headed into round 6, which is the city circuit of Baku in Azerbaijan. So definitely a very tough track to get yourself around. Walls everywhere, very small margins of error. And we come into this race here sitting 15th in the championship overall. Not what we expected coming into the start of the season. We've only scored 4 points so far, picking up a 10th place plus a fastest lap point in Austria, and then also picking up a 9th place finish last week in Bahrain. But let's see if we can do something a little better around Baku. Again, tough track. It's going to be one sort of a war of attrition, trying to survive it, keep the front wings attached. I think you can turn into pretty good results if you're pretty safe. But here we are out on our first flying lap on the softs. My strategy here was to go out on the softs for a first run, kind of a banker lap, then go for a good fast medium lap, and then finish it off with a run on the soft tire at the end. A little bit of a bump on the exit there, that corner. Not a huge hit, but it did kind of put our wing into that lime green level of damage. So not purely green and good, just a teeny bit of damage. Not enough to super affect a lot of it. As we shoot down this little short straight and get ready to head into the most dangerous section of pretty much the entire track, the castle section. Very narrow. Kind of have to kind of play the understeer as you launch yourself through those corners and just kind of have this little back and forth kind of weaving section until you can get on the throttle. Now, in contrast to that weaving little castle section that's very tight, Baku is also home to one of the longest continuous full throttle sections on the entire calendar. As soon as we get out of this corner coming up here on the brakes, hit the apex, from here to turn 1, you are absolutely flat. Runs about 24 to 25 seconds of flat out time. You through this little kink chicane, a little bit of a right turn, but otherwise you are keeping the throttle absolutely pinned. So getting a good slipstream, using this DRS zone, this is your main overtaking opportunity around this entire track. There we are, crossing the start-finish line, a 141.0. We are one of the first cars out, so you're P2 at the moment. We're jumping out, about 8 minutes left in this session now, onto these medium tires. See if we can improve. We've fallen down to P7. Now, this track, because it's so many like tight right-angle corners and low-speed exits, it absolutely eats the rear tires around this track. So tire wear is a big issue on your tire strategy for this track. So people on the softs really only last about 5 to 7 laps around this track. Even when you're on a light fuel load, you really chew those soft tires to death. So the ideal strategy, I think, is going to be a one-stopper going from the mediums onto the hard tire. Now, you can make a one-stopper work if you start on the softs by going soft onto hard, but you are pretty much pushing the limits of both of those tires by the time you pit, because you're typically going to have to pit around lap 7 on the soft tires and go the rest of the way on those hard tires, and you're going to look at 75 to 80% tire wear on the rears as you hit the ends of those stints. But here we are, coming out of the castle section. Much better run so far. We're up about a full half a second here as we get ready to head through the last couple of quarters. The T15 that we just went through right there, that little downhill left-hander, you can actually gain a fair bit of time by kind of chucking the car over the curbing. The track limits are fairly generous there. But in the interest of safety and keeping the front wing attached, I decided to give up about the 2 to 3 tenths that you can potentially gain through there to just kind of play it safe. But you can see we're already 6 tenths up as we hit the DRS zone and shoot down towards the start-finish line. And cross the line, go to a 140.4. That moves us up to P6 on the list right now. And I believe that also makes us, at the moment, the fastest man on the medium tires. Everybody in front of us is on those soft tires. Here we are with about 40 seconds left in the session. We're crossing that start-finish line to try and go for that final glory run on the soft tires. We see we've fallen down to P9. Still inside the top 10 to where we will be starting on that set of tires that we qualified on. And we'll see, if we can go faster, we put ourselves further up the grid, but it's definitely going to change our tire strategy if we go up there. But, just kind of running with it. We're already about 0.2 up, a little slow on the exit, but not bad. Really, that extra grip of those soft tires is hugely important in the launch traction zones. As you can see the amount of time that delta changes as we're getting on the throttle. And here we are, almost a full half second up on that time. BoomTech went down into the 137s, I believe, but just a little too much curb there for us. And that's an invalidated lap time. And Gali is slow through the castle section. So even if we hadn't had that lap time invalidated, I think we would have had that lap ruined with the yellow flags in the castle section. It looks like just everybody's just pulling off to the sides, I guess. Interesting choices. But that's kind of the line as you chuck it over that curb. You could make some time up with, but we're just going to go ahead and get ourselves around the last few corners and pull into the pit lane. Kind of practice this strange pit entry. Ooh, QX Nemesis goes fast. It's a 38.0.
You drop to P10. You're on the 5th row of the grid.
We're down at P10 at the moment, so right on that border between starting on our own tire choice or starting on the mediums. And here we are, very squiggly through that last corner. Hard on the brakes to hit that pit limiter line. And let's get pulled into our pit lane spot and see what the final times are from the last couple of people that might have been running out behind us. And there you see BoomTech up at the top, goes to a 37.9. So the only one to get into the 37s. And now we're also taking a look up the grid there. It looks like NGP Racers picked up a 5-place grid penalty. So he's going to start right behind us on the grid. That's going to move us to up to P9 on the grid here. So jumping out, skipping the loading screens. First things first, take all this extra fuel out. For some reason, they love to overfuel the car. So we're going to put it down right to 26 laps. We can do some fuel save through the castle section as needed. And now we're just kind of fiddling. Do we want to kind of stretch the first stint to have a little bit more life in the hards at the end? Or do we want to keep it with what the game is telling us is ideal? So we're going to go ahead and keep it 11 and 15 for this 26 lap race. Should give us the best tire situations the full way through now. It's a short run to turn 1 here, so definitely some opportunity for carnage. We've got to be careful coming out. So the lights are out, and we get a pretty good launch. Not a lot of wheel spin. We're just going to immediately move to the outside of the track. We're barely on full throttle, so we're kind of just tiptoeing our way around the outside. Dayman is sideways coming around the corner. K3M goes down the inside of us as he carried a little extra speed. Managed to get through there. We were being a little bit careful. So we're on the outside. Looks like Fast 6 and Voki are tangled on the right side. So we're up through them up to P7 at the moment. So we're going to catch a little bit of slipstream from K3M and just kind of give him some room as we brake. But he's gone a little bit too deep. So we're going to go up the inside of him around the corner. Get on the throttle nice and early. Great launch from that traction of turn 3. And that's going to move us up into P6. And now we've got Habs fan Nick directly ahead of us. And already, just as we get to the end of Sector 1, we've managed to jump ourselves 3 positions already in this race. Now, there's not a lot of opportunities to pick up track limits penalties. Typically, if you're on the track limits or over the track limits, you're in the wall. There's only the few. You saw the one that we got our lap invalidated on just coming out of the castle there, that last left-hander. If you run too much curb there, and obviously these last 2 true corners, you cut those curbs too much, you are going to pick up a track limits penalty. Turn 15, and then obviously big runoff area in turn 16. That one is going to be not even a warning. If you cut that one, you will get an instant fine, essentially.
Strong start. Well done.
But here we are. We've got NGP Racer behind us. He's made some great moves after starting pretty far down the grid. I think he took another set of grid penalties. He started P14 on the grid, actually. So he must have had a second 5-place penalty. But he's grabbing some slipstream. maybe going to think of a move coming into turn 1, but Habsfan Nick is racing Gali in front of us. So the more that they scrap, the more it's going to give us an opportunity to get in there. But we also have to worry about NGP Racer right behind us. It looks like our teammate AWD is in the pits. Maybe he was caught up in that first lap incident and has to pit for a new wing. So unfortunate that he's got to come in and grab a fresh wing already. Now you see those arrows behind. We are being absolutely hounded by NGP Racer, who's shown pretty good pace all throughout the qualifying sessions and some of our practice sessions earlier in the week. So luckily he's not going to really be able to make a move through this area. He really just has to kind of settle in, and as long as we can stay in front of him on the straights, we should be in okay shape. But Habsfan Nick has fallen back from Gali just a little bit, swinging a little bit wide there. But we've definitely managed to catch that group up, and they're going to be in a position where we might be able to attack them fairly soon. The lead pack, the 3 podium positions at the moment. QX Nemesis, a little bit of teeny tiniest tap on the wall there. A little bit of a lockup coming in there. We're going to have to check our damage status as we hit the next straight and see if that has done any damage to the wing. I think, no, it was soft enough to where it wasn't going to do even damage to the end plate. It does, however, make us coming out of those last couple of corners very slow. NGP's got a great run on us. Slipstream, no DRS yet, so we're going to go ahead and turn up the engines. He's going to pull just ahead of us. We're going to go inside to the defensive. He's fully clear of us. We're going to dip in, grab a little slipstream, and we're going to fight him back. We're going to the inside. A little bit later on the brakes on him, a teeny bit of a lockup. Back end kind of steps out a little bit, but we managed to keep it pointed the right direction and get that throttle down and fight that position back from him. Managed to just pull a little bit of that extra slipstream at the tail end of the straight to give us a tiny bit of momentum to kind of launch past him, and just being a little bit braver on the brakes. But that's going to let Habsfan Nick get a little bit away from us. And it looks like that gap to the lead group. Ooh, big oversteer moment. Back end really coming out, but still counter steering to keep it in. We are definitely probably heating up the rear tires just a little bit from our little ventures through the first couple of corners. NGP got pretty close coming in there. We've got a yellow flag up ahead. Somebody is off in the castle section, but it looks at least like he's in the escape road, so he's not on the track. It is Dayman in there, and we've got the other McLaren. Ooh, Fast 6 has made his way through. Not a lot of passing opportunities. I wonder if he cut the corner of turn 7 to just dive through and get in there. I have to take a look at see if any of the spectator cams that we had watching this week caught that action. But with Fast 6 pushing his way through NGP Racer, that's going to give us a tiny bit of breathing room to survive with. Because now we have more than a second clear from them, so they're not going to have DRS to attack us. And it looks like Habsfan Nick and Gali Moves 5 are having a bit of a scrap in front. That DRS, watching those 2 dots get closer and closer. Somebody going to pull out and go for the move. And it looks like Gali has gotten his way around Habsfan Nick there. But Fast 6 has kind of closed up the back of us a little bit here already. But we've got some clear air. And we are on a slightly slower tire. I think in another lap or 2, you will start to see those soft tires really start going off. And they'll start to come into the pits while we're going to be able to push on this strategy. Most of the soft tire runners, I would estimate, are probably going to have to make a 2-stop work. Most of them are going to probably try and get onto the faster tire. Habsfan Nick slow through that right-hander. We're closing up on him. Not a good overtaking opportunity here, though, so we're going to get on the brakes nice and early. Just kind of settle in. Try and set him up for the long straights, because the castle is not an area we're going to traditionally overtake. So here we are coming through turn 7. He's gone very wide, bumped the wall. We're able to get down the inside. We're going to commit. We're going to go for the pass, get good traction out of that corner, and shoot past him. Take that position while we can.
That's put you in 5th, P5.
And now we are up into 5th position, and ooh,
Caution.
Dayman is out, so there's a VSC out, so we got to watch out for that delta time in the top right. We want to keep that green, but as close to 0 seconds as possible, so you're not losing time through the different detection zones. You have a couple of seconds to get it back into the green if you overshoot. But if you you have a good opportunity to really gain or lose a bunch of time. So VSC is ending. We're about a 9/10 off, so we're just going to go full throttle. Maybe we can reduce that delta. So it wasn't a great exit to the VSC, but nobody behind us did much better. And it looks like BoomTech is diving into the pits already. Not a bad idea with the VSC. He probably saved himself a couple of seconds, but we're going to go ahead and jump ahead a couple more laps. Lap 6 here, and Jeff's on the horn here with a strategy update. We've kind of been running, while running in traffic there, we've taken a little bit of extra life out of these medium tires, so we're going to come in one lap earlier. We're going to come in on lap 10 to grab that fresh set of hard tires that'll hopefully take us to the end of this race. But we are up into P4 at the moment, pretty much just running a chill race so far while other people are trying to push and make some things happen. But we got a couple of the dots ahead of us. That looks like that's going to be QX Nemesis and MJ Povey, the other two leaders. So they waited till lap 6 to come in and make their change. So that's going to push us all the way up into P2 while we are chasing down Golly Mooms 5 in front. But BoomTech on his fresh medium sets the fastest lap of the race. And we also have behind us now his teammate K3M in the other Alfa Romeo, who was one of the other cars to start on the medium tires like we did. So we're running a pretty similar strategy, at least thus far, it would seem. Pretty much everybody else seems to have gone for the softs to start, but you can see the back end really starting to get kind of lively. And it looks like AWD's in the pits again, maybe another front wing change. Day's just not going the way he'd like it, I'm sure, at this point. But with our tires wearing out, we're taking kind of an abundance of caution coming through the castle sections here, just trying to keep that nose clean. We don't want to be taking that extra 4 or 5 seconds in a pit lane to make changes to that front wing, and then also, you know, just the time loss you have from having a damaged front wing. Those are two things we definitely want to try to avoid. It's a big reason why we didn't go with that strategy of chucking it over the curb like some of these other faster guys have been doing throughout the race for turn 15. But we're only 2.2 seconds back of Golly Mooms in front of us. Not quite in DRS range yet, still have some ground to make up there, but he's on that soft tire, so either A, he's going to come into the pit lane, or B, he's going to really start to feel his tires hurt, and he's going to be losing a ton of ground to us. There you see him pulling off to the left side of the track and diving into the pit lane. So something that is yet to happen this season. We have taken over first place in a race here. We are currently leading. We actually crossed the start-finish line in first place, so technically we have, quote-unquote, led that lap. But we've still got about a 3.5 second gap to BoomTech behind us, it would look like, and a couple more laps to pit in. So it looks like we have a good chance here to legitimately lead a couple of laps of this GP. So let's settle in, try and not make any mistakes as we head to that stage of the race. But so far so good. This kind of conservative one-stop strategy, being able to qualify on those mediums, has put us in a pretty good spot as far as track position goes. So we still have the buffer of K3 between us and BoomTech, although with BoomTech on those much fresher tires, I'm sure is going to make his way through K3 without too much trouble. And I think as far as teammates go, K3 will do the smart thing and let BoomTech through. It's no point in holding your teammate up and slowing up his race when you're running a totally different strategy. And if you time it right, you may even be able to let him through, and then grab DRS and improve your own lap time, at least for a lap or so. But yeah, he's about a half second up there. We're about 5.7 seconds up on K3M, so looks like we are going to have our first opportunity to lead a full lap of a race. Well and truly lead a lap in this season so far. We put up a nice little personal best lap there, going into the 44.9s. But BoomTech lapping in the 43.2, so pretty quick. So we're going to go ahead and jump ahead. Lap 10 now. We're going to dive into the pit lane. And BoomTech is going to go through, so he got to lead a good 3 laps there. And it looks like K3 is also diving into the pit lane behind us. So we'll see where we're at coming out. QX Nemesis goes through on a set of hard tires. Golly Moom's out on a set of mediums. So likely a 2-stopper there.
That was our last
And
stop.
QX
No
likely
more
going to
scheduled
the
pit
end
stops.
of the race on his hard tires. Now we've got an NGP Racer once again. From a different strategy, he is on those mediums once again. Pretty much the same gap, so undercut, overcut, really didn't end up making too much of a difference at that stage of the race. I think the amount of time we were losing for on the tires was really down more to fuel weight burning off, which we are basically keeping the car underfueled for a majority of this race. Now, on one hand, that is not going to allow us to use some of the fastest fuel modes. We're going to pretty much try and get all of our extra speed via our ERS modes, but that allows us to be a little bit gentler on the tires compared to other people who are running fuller fuel loads, and just kind of a little bit better change of direction through the corners. I mean, less weight to throw around, the better. So that's kind of what we're looking at in that regard as far as our strategy is set up. Our front brake bias, we have been mostly starting it on 56%, and as we get to about 10 to 15% wear on the rears, we flip it forward to 58% to help reduce that rear locking under braking. And then when they get to like the tail end of their life, we push it all the way to that 60% front brake bias to really help stabilize the car in braking. And you can actually kind of lean on the front tires a little more around this track. The way the tire wear kind of sets up is that you do almost double the tire wear on the rears than what you do on the fronts. Like when we came in for that last stop, we were pretty much, about 70% on the rears, but close to only about 40% on the front.
5.3 seconds.
So 5.3 seconds to NGP behind us, according to Jeff. And Golly is out in front. But we're going to jump ahead, lap 15 now. And things are pretty similar, it would appear. We're sitting P4 at the moment. We have no more stops to make, and I believe 2 of the 3 cars in front of us still have stops to make. I believe that QX Nemesis is going to be the only one that's going to the end, since he did fit those hard tires. But BoomTech is opening up a fair gap out front on that softer compound. So can he build enough time gap to cover that last pit stop while QX is going to the end? We're still maintaining a gap to NGP, still 5.6 seconds, still kind of holding steady. So even though he's on a faster tire, our lap times that we're turning in, pretty similar. He did have to get on those medium tires much earlier than what we got on these hard tires, so we are on a fair bit fresher compound than him. Also more durable compound. And it looks like BoomTech is in for his second stop. He's gone with the mediums, it would appear, as we're coming around turn 1. He managed to get enough of a gap to clear us. And there's Jeff saying we're losing about a half a second to NGP now at this stage of the race. But again, he's still got, a 5-second gap with 10 laps to go, and he's only catching us by a half. We still have the opportunity to keep him there. But I do think, like I said, I still think that now, believe that Golly's going to have to make another stop out in front of us. I don't think that QX is going to have to stop unless he really eats those hard tires up. But one thing, if you're watching my throttle trace down there on the bottom, that green ring, you can see just how ginger I am being with getting the car on throttle, trying to save these tires as much as possible, because we're going to want something to work with towards the tail end of the race if other guys are coming up behind us on fast tires. Now you could just see I flipped the fuel mix back up to standard. Starting to hit a stage of the race here where I'm trying to make sure I have enough fuel to go the distance. So I'm starting to save fuel, turn down the engine mode, basically from turn 4 all the way, or turn 3 all the way till we exit the castle. So we really aren't losing too much on the straights there, but we are saving some fuel through that more technical section. We've got some yellow flags back there in the corner through the castle. Looks like somebody had an issue, but it looks like it's cleared now, so nobody has done the big dead this time. So here we are with 3 seconds back of BoomTech in front of us.
0 seconds.
And we've got about 9 laps left to go. Gali is still out on that set of mediums he changed to very early on, so I'm sure that those are pretty unhappy. He's got to try and make a pit stop sometime soon here before he loses too much time. Otherwise, if he's going to try and push it to the end of the race, that might be troublesome for him. That could be a mistake, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens here. So we lost a little bit of ground. We're 3.7 back of BoomTech there, and we've dropped to 4.5 in front of NGP Racer at that last sector split. But now we're going to start trying to save some of our electrical energy through the castle section as well, so we've got more to deploy down that long straight, help get our top speed up. I'm sure we're dropping some time to those guys behind because of that straight line speed, and we're not turning everything up to crazy maximum levels. But at this point, it's just kind of a matter, made it 17 laps so far, less than 10 to go. It's just kind of counting down and, feeling like there's a good chance for a podium position to potentially be on, because Gali's got to either pit or drop off at some point in this race, and we're going to steadily start to reel him in, especially as we get to those last like 5 or 6 laps. He is going to be absolutely on some ruined medium tires. It looks like BoomTech has finally made his way past Gali.
Okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember, we need to get to the end of the race.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
They've entered the pit lane. They're on
NGP Racer, who was chasing us down. Just as I was asking Jeff what the status was of his lap times, he dives into the pit lane.
You're losing a small amount of time to the car behind. Keep pushing.
So now we've got MJ Povey behind, who's really going to be the next big threat. But NGP Racer kind of was reeling us in, but big oversteer moment as we lit up those rear tires. Not something we're going to want to do a lot of. We want to be careful to keep those tires alive to the very end. But we'll see where Povey is when he crosses the sector split as we're about to head into the castle. He should be hitting that line. So he's 12.4 seconds back. So he's going to have to catch us at quite a rate in order to get involved in this battle with us. But you can see Gali's still kind of holding station so far, managing those medium tires all right. But it's just kind of a waiting game. Either he's going to run out of tires, or he's going to make a mistake, or he's going to pit. Either way, we're in prime position to try and snag a podium off of him. Now, NGP Racer not necessarily totally out of it just yet either. So you can see he's back on the track, I think. But he's diving in for some soft tires, I believe, with the number of laps left to go. So he's going to be likely very quick on those.
Reduce the ERS deployment, please. We need to charge the battery.
You see BoomTech there. Ooh, QX Nemesis in to the pit lane. I thought he was going to go all the way on those hard tires, but it looks like he's coming in to fit some softs. And with 6 or 7 laps left to go, we'll see what the split time is. Now he's going to be very quick on those soft tires on that light fuel load. So we're jumping ahead, lap 21 here. QX Nemesis set the fastest lap. He went with he went on a 140. So he really reeled the gap in. You can see only 3.2 seconds back of us now, but we are reeling in Gollymooms in front of us. So right now you've got BoomTech out in front. You've got Gollymooms in second on some pretty toasted medium tires, and you got QX Nemesis on fairly fresh soft tires behind us.
Battery charge is low. If we turn down the ERS deployment, we can harvest more energy.
You see, as we've got the fuel mixed back down in lean, we are just about on target for the race finish now. A little bit of a lockup coming into there, so we've kind of picked up a little bit of a track limit. It's only our first track limits warning, though, so not in danger of picking up a penalty just yet. But Nemesis, you can see, really pushing the pace to try and get back up to that top spot, really running hard in front of us, or behind us rather. He's not in front of us. But now he's almost certainly within a second of us, coming down this little hill, which means that as we take a little peek behind, he gets a little bit of wheel spin coming out of turn 15, but he is definitely going to be inside of 1 second when we hit the DRS detection zone. So he's going to be able to attack us with that DRS coming in. There's a glimpse of a yellow flag in the castle section there a second ago. Somebody might have come off. I wonder if they're going to be able to keep going. All right, but here goes Nemesis around the outside. Safety car is out literally the moment that Nemesis got by us.
Make sure you keep it positive as we catch the pack.
So safety car is out very late in the stage here. We may have just lost our potential for a podium because with only 3 laps left to go, this race may finish under safety car. And I looked it back in the in Premiere. I pulled it open. He passed me, and 7 frames later, 7 frames after he completed the pass on me, or just got his nose in front, was the safety car call out. So we're talking about a 1/10 of a second was the difference between him making that pass. But looks like they're not even bothering to get the field all together behind the safety car. We are just gonna go racing for a green-white checker. Looks like some contact as a Gali out in front of us, still on those worn tires. Is anybody gonna, when is it time to go? All right, looks like they're moving, so I'm getting on the throttle here. Felix the Feline has lap traffic, so he's ghosted. Oh, they're slowing back down. Kind of a dummy start, but all right, there we go. And now Boomtech very slow on his own restart. If he just kept his foot in, I probably would have been all right. But he has lost out 2 positions there to Gali and Nemesis.
Yellow flag.
So Nemesis manages to grab the best of the starts there on those soft tires. We, in hindsight, may have had an opportunity to come in and fit a fresh set of tires, but it was kind of risky trying to go the full lap because the safety car came out. But there's NGP trying to take a little dive late. We had already committed to the turn in, and he just wasn't able to get his nose fully in there, but I think that may have cost him a little bit of damage back in the pack. But now you can see Boomtech and QX Nemesis starting to open up a little bit of a gap as Gali is really struggling on those tires. And it's not an area that we can really get by in. So we're just kind of having to hold station, and we're going to try and find a way back. He's a little bit wide there. We don't quite have the rear tire purchase to shoot past him the way we did with Habs fan Nick earlier in the race. We are also on some fairly old tires, but now we just got to try and settle in. We're going to turn the engine modes down a little bit, try and save a bit since we're not going to be able to come through here. No DRS for the rest of the race, essentially, because after a safety car, it takes 3 laps for DRS to be enabled again. But there's Gali touching the wall, but we are in perfect slipstream range. An NGP racer, though, still right up on our tail. He's going to have something to say about it, I think, before this is all done. We kind of shut the door on him into T3. He couldn't get through. Gallimus touches the wall there, so we're going to grab as much slipstream as we can, turn up the electrical to point. We don't really have a whole lot of extra fuel to play with, but we're going to go ahead and turn it up anyway. We're just going to have to save later on this final lap, but here we are getting clear. It looks like NGP's got a good run as well. We might be going 3 wide into there. And Povey, yellow flags behind, has hit the walls, and he is out as we kind of sneak our way around the outside, giving space to those other 2 guys. Little bit of a touch from Gali coming through that corner, but it looks like NGP has forced his way through as well. So now we've fallen fair ways back of Boomtech and QX Nemesis, but we are sitting solidly in P3 with no DRS left available to Nemesis behind. And Gali moves us back through, so it looks like they're fighting behind us. That's going to be great for us. It's going to give us plenty of an opportunity to try and stretch this gap out a little bit, especially since if Gali's in front coming through the castle, there's going to be very hard for NGP to have any kind of good pace through this area, whereas we're running a little bit quicker, so we might have a couple seconds of a gap by the time we get to the last sector split. Ooh, yellow flags ahead for a split second there. It looks like, yeah, big gap has opened up between QX and Boomtech. It looks like Boomtech has hit the wall in the castle section there.
Car behind has front wing damage. We'll have a harder time keeping up with you. Keep pushing.
So yeah, Gali's got front wing damage behind us, knackered tires, and he's holding NGP Racer off behind. So we just have to kind of keep our eyes forward. And now the next goal is we're 2.5 seconds back, so we're actually if BoomTech has a penalty, a 3-second penalty, we are in a position to actually jump him. And so far, BoomTech very, very quick throughout the season, but has a tendency to push the track limits just a little too hard and has picked up penalties in just about every race. So QX Nemesis crosses the line first. P1 BoomTech is up next to cross the line. We cross the finish line, and yes, we do. We jump him on penalties, so we go up to P2 and we pick up our first podium of this season. After having only 4 points this whole season, we pick up a big points haul, 18 points, by coming in second here on a very, very tough track. And so I'm going to self-indulge a little bit. I'm going to let this champagne celebration play out because I don't know how many times I'm going to get a chance to see this celebration with me up on it in this season. With so many quick drivers out here, you know, I think it took a real conservative but safe run. I mean, we didn't really make any mistakes throughout the race. Everybody else had some issues here and there. But I thought for sure when that safety car came out, we were doomed. And the other thing is, looking back on this race here, I could have had a potential for the race win because you see QX Nemesis had 3 seconds worth of penalties as well. And I think that if we had been able to clear Gali before getting into the castle section, we could have been running right near BoomTech and Nemesis. And even if we had crossed the line P3, we might have even been able to jump both of them. That's also considering that if BoomTech did not make the mistake in the castle and they had stayed in a tight fight the rest of the way there. But man, what a bounce back from a tough start of the season so far. What a way to finish the first half of the season. We got 6 more races coming up. So that will be the end of the season there. But that's going to be a huge help for us in the championship standings. To be able to pick up a P2 is just massive. On the live version, you can hear how excited I am. I'm still buzzing about it. It's just a great race to be involved in. But next weekend, we are headed to one of the longest tracks on the calendar, a historic track out in Belgium. We are headed to Spa, and that's going to be a very fun high-speed circuit. Hopefully, we can keep a good pace run going and maybe get involved there. That one, we won't be able to rely on being clean and having other people make mistakes. We're going to have to go out and get that one on pure pace. But hey, not making mistakes is part of the game, is part of the racing strategy. So, you know, it worked. Conservative tire strategy, make that one stopper work and really just kind of keep the car clean. And that netted us a second place. But I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.